Relationships, another one. And when I talk about relationships, it really is not related to only romantic relationships, but any type of relationships with other people, right? And it's funny how we are our own worst enemy, and it's because we are on our head. So we can look at the world in two ways. We can look at it through our mental plane, or through our spiritual plane, or through the mind or the heart. And in the Western world, and that's where I'm coming from, and I've spent a lot of my life, the vast majority of my life, in my head. But ultimately, all the answers are in your heart, and that sounds very esoteric. And again, that's not how I mean it, but it's more you're feeling things rather than you're thinking. We're thinking too much because what our mind does, it's kind of wired for survival and procreation, what evolution gave us. And so it's scarcity based. So it kind of works against us in many ways. In many ways, obviously, it is also very helpful. And, when you have to think through processes rationally, or you have to make certain decisions, but it's always important to also use the heart, because there's a lot of information there. You could also think about it as the subconscious mind, your intuition, whatever works for you. So I'm going to give you an example. A friend of mine I talked to recently, there were some issues in a relationship with a family member. Let's say it was an aunt, and she would do nasty things, or seemingly nasty things to her. And as a result, she just kind of put up a wall and say, I'm just going to not interact with the person. I don't let this person hurt me. When we build up walls towards people that we resent, that we don't like, that seemingly do bad things to us, or actually do bad things to us, we are actually building a wall around ourselves. Of course, we are protecting, on one hand, us from that very person, but on the other hand, we are closing in, we are locking up, we are closing ourselves up. And that's actually going to bite us much more than the person we're protecting ourselves from. Their life goes on. Maybe they can't reach us in the way they did us before, but that doesn't really matter. They might not even take notice. We're building up an internal wall. And that kind of hugely impacts our lives, and actually ultimately hurts us more than it helps us. Yes, it kind of protects us, and maybe we feel less pain, but we also are unable to kind of go as openly through life as we want. And so again, this applies to any type of relationship, also a romantic one where you were hurt, etc. The best way is you want to tear down all of these walls. Now, how do you do that? There's many layers. One is first of all, you have to understand why the person is doing what they're doing. Why are they, doing something nasty to you? Usually, no, actually always, it comes from because they're in a bad place. It's their own securities. They need to, people that are in a good place, they don't do bad stuff to other people because they have no incentive, right? If you're happy, why would you do something that kind of aggravates another person, that annoys another person, that is nasty, whatever it is? So we have to understand that it means they're in a bad place. So you can basically come from a place of compassion and say actually, I never thought about it, because we always look through our own lens. But when someone does something to us, it means they're in a bad place. They're trying to compensate for something they're lacking, or they're craving, or an insecurity. So that's the first thing to take into account. The second thing is why does it impact you? Why do you let other people dictate how you feel? If someone does something to you, it's up to you how to react. If they say something not nice, if they do something not nice, it's under your control how you react. You can let that eat into you. And as the saying goes, holding a grudge against someone is letting the person live rent-free in your room. Or actually, I like to say, is letting the person live rent-free in your brain. You get double hurt, right? Not only the person did something that wasn't nice to you, but also you kind of stick with that thought, and you're annoyed and aggravated, and it influences every moment in your life that you think about it in a negative way. And nothing changes, right? The reality doesn't change. The material reality doesn't change, but you feel about it, and it annoys you, and it kind of just makes life less joyful. So it's important to understand like how you react to people, no matter what they do, is your choice. You can, stick with it and kind of ruminate over it and think about it, and this is not fair and this is not right, etc. Or you can just say like, oh, they're in a bad place. That's why they're doing this, which is reality actually. And I want to have nothing to do with it. It's a bit like Goenka, who brought Vipassana back to the Western world. He said like, when someone comes to you with something, like something that you don't want, it's like you opening the door of your house. The person wants to give you a gift, but you don't have to accept it. You can say, no, 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 I don't want your gift. I don't want this, whatever it is that you don't want, whether it's, a behavior that's not nice, whether they're whether they're trying to annoy you, whatever it is. I'm sure you have plenty of examples in your own mind that just flush up now. And just next time, just say internally or even verbally, say like, no, 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 I don't want this, keep this, and you just close the door again. It's that simple. It's a decision. So again, first thing is understanding that whatever people do, they do it because of at the place they're at. And if they do things that are not nice, not good, etc., it means either they don't realize what they're doing, they're triggering you, or they do it because they're in a bad place. So you should have compassion for them. You need to empathize with them and try to understand where they are coming from. We always look only through our eyes, but that's not how the world works. That's just your perspective. Thirdly, how you react is your decision. And so every time we get triggered by something or annoyed by something, it's an opportunity for us to kind of understand, why does this actually affect me? If a person says, you're ugly, well, that's just an opinion, right? Do I feel ugly? That's your choice. So how you react to stuff is up to you. And, people think lots of things, and some people verbalize what they think sometimes and others don't. So if you would be concerned what everybody else is thinking, whether they express it explicitly by saying it or not, you would go crazy. And some people probably go crazy around it. So the best thing is just to kind of stop and just realize that it tells you something about where you're at, how you're reacting to people doing stuff to you. And then fourthly, like if you then build up walls to protect yourself from this not impacting you, you're just making your life worse, because you basically put yourself in a position where you're also behind a wall, just on the other side, right? When you build up walls, yes, you keep like the enemy away, but you also cannot go out. So it's like closing up your heart, and as a result, you will basically not be able to enjoy life as much more. This wall stays around you. Suddenly you don't have that beautiful view anymore, and you cannot enjoy, and you're more scared, and you're more scared of being hurt and all of that. So the only way actually out of this is kind of, you have to realize that it's your decision how you react to stuff. And it really is a decision. Once you realize that, like, why does this person trigger me? Why does this affect me? Well, don't let them. It's your choice. Just stop and, just brush it off. And of course, you might say this is not so easy. Well, no one said it easy, but nothing in life, no good thing is easy, right? You need to work at it. And once you do, it becomes really, really easy, because ultimately it's just a decision in your mind. And yes, you have been conditioned over decades of life to do it differently, to kind of think it through and kind of look from it from a scarcity and threat position, because that's how evolution has built us. But it's a decision to undo that. And just as much as you learned it that way, you can unlearn it. And then it's going to be amazing. And, people just can't have an impact on you anymore. Like if someone says this video is crap, well, that's your opinion. I don't care. I think this is super relevant and it served me really well. And that's why I'm sharing it. So once you start working and changing this perspective, this attitude, and how you react to the world, life will never be the same again.